Put the coffee in our veins and let's podcast. Alongside Joe Giglio, I'm Joe Ovias, inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. I don't know, maybe we need the Kyocera knives to cut through the New York Rangers penalty kill. Maybe that's what we need to do.
Maybe we just need to hide the Kyocera knives and let's just calm down, take a step back.
I know.
Let's see what happens on Thursday. Series comes back to Raleigh. You want to panic after Thursday. I like the way that the Hurricanes played last night. The more I think about it, the more I think Igor Shesterkin was just a little bit better than Freddie Anderson. Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there were chances at the end of the end of regulation. They had 2 looks on the penalty kill of all things. We could sit here and lament the power play, but I think their 2 best special teams looks were at the end of regulation when they were shorthanded. And that's where Shesterkin came up big. Those were potential, total backbreakers.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Really, honestly, that's the difference. These 3-3 in a 60-minute game, 2 teams with 236 points between them in the regular season. 2 really good teams. And the difference ultimately ends up being a rebound that Freddie gives up on a power play in the second overtime. And Vincent Trocheck, I'm not sure who he is in this universe.
Where's Miller? Can we get Miller? I need an update on Trocheck Spicy. Is Trocheck Spicy okay?
I mean, he's paying back some old debts.
He is.
I'm guessing at some point there was a number given to him, the famous Dundon number.
Yeah.
And he said, cool. And of course, when the Rangers come back, and the Rangers overpaid for him, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm still thinking he held on to that number. Sometimes players get that way because there's no way he's this animated and this vociferous on the ice without there being something that had happened.
What I love about the Trocheck thing, now that you've brought it up, I think there's this attitude that everybody who leaves the locker room wants to come back to the locker room because of some comments that have been made.
Right.
All right. So
that Rod has specifically said to us.
Yes.
Like we've had guys leave and be like, hey man, I made a mistake, even though they gave me more money.
Oh, look, and this is the tales all the time with the market itself too. Yeah. All right. Because we've talked to former players from back in 02, 06, 09 that went for more money. And when you do the taxes and the cost of living and then everything else, and they go, man, was that extra $1 million ultimately worth it?
It was really easy to get to the arena.
Piece of cake. Nobody's harassing me when I'm trying to get food, all that kind of stuff, right? But that's some guys. And we kind of, I think over time, we can get a little too extremely online and we just think that everybody's Eric Holla. Like, well, if you didn't work here, well, then you just must be Eric Holla. And he's wearing his little, friendship bracelet that says, I hate the Canes or Canes suck or whatever it is. I think Trocheck is showing me what elite level athletes always do. And it goes all the way back to the Last Dance of that's when I took it personal. And you're gonna gin up any level of disrespect in your mind to take it to another level and show them. And I've seen that in 2 games so far from Vincent Trocheck. And last night when we did what I've come to enjoy about the After Darks, is that we're catching this stuff in real time.
Yeah.
We're catching the reaction in real time. Yeah. I've been out of practice with that, honestly, in catching things in real time. And I think going from
I think starting in DC, we got back on the bike.
What I'm saying is throughout my entire career, basically I've had time to think about stuff. All right.
Yeah, the 3:00 slot is different.
I've always had time to think about stuff. You have to think about things differently. You have to come at it at a different angle. You got to do stupid contests like, tell you what, Foo Fighters and Canes at the same time. Oh,
if you sync up their first album.
See, the tired contest is, hey, show me a picture of you watching the game at Coastal Credit Union Music Park while the Foo Fighters are playing Everlong and you're watching overtime. No, that's tired. No. Wired is you do and I should have thought about this.
Did they play Everlong?
Yeah, of course they did. How do they not play Everlong?
I'm just asking. I ask you these things because
I haven't looked at the set list, but if they didn't play Everlong, I mean, I bet you if I looked at Setlist FM right now, Everlong's in the encore.
They didn't play In Bloom though, right?
No, that's a Nirvana song. Dumbass. Anyway,
it's my favorite thing to ask you.
Dumbass. In Bloom though,
why is Genesis not playing this Phil Collins song?
I would love to hear Sturgill Simpson do In Bloom because he has a cover of that. Anyway, no, the Wired contest is Foo Fighters Canes game which game, which event ends first, and at what time.
Little DK parlay.
And then whoever's closest to that time gets a puck.
Okay.
And then
put it in ice and melt it? Or
one of those pucks will be in a block of ice, and then it melts, and you give us that time. That's a damn contest.
For $10,000.
Insured.
Yeah.
Now, that you can't take Radio Joe out of me. We'll get to some more Radio Joe bits when we get to housekeeping. Where was I? Yes. Sorry, we're a little loopy. We're a little tired from last night because of the double overtime.
Just don't go multiple overtimes, please.
I know. As I told you last night, update the chart. But no, in the real time thing, what I tend to forget is I enjoy it because you're catching this stuff right in the moment, your initial thoughts, but then you get to sleep on it.
Okay.
Sometimes it's 5 hours of sleep.
What'd you sleep on? What'd you come up with?
And
what'd you cook up?
What I realized is we spent 35 minutes talking about all sorts of stuff last night with Mike Maniscalco. And when I woke up this morning, it really comes down to a simple thing. Their power play. It's the special teams. And it's the thing that we talked about, and I'll keep saying this in this series. Sometimes when you do the previews, when you talk about the things to look for, they go one for one. It's the exact thing we knew going into the series, and it's playing out that way. Sometimes you get Super Bowls where we think, oh my goodness, this is going to be an offensive showdown, and ends up being 12-7, right? How many times when we're like, oh man, this basketball game is going to be in the hundreds, and then ends up being a foul fest and all that kind of stuff. This series is playing out exactly as we anticipated. It came down to power play. Their best players versus your best players.
Well, your best players have to be your best players. And then they have to make shots. It's the only way you can win.
And last night,
absolutely.
Last night, we saw the Canes' best players step up. We saw Aho have a very good game. As I joked last night, there are two Svechnikovs in you. Which one is it going to be today? Jake Gensel, we talked about after game one. At some point, the rental has to be the guy that you brought in the postseason. I thought he showed out last night. But the one thing that the Canes collectively have been bad at in this series has been the special teams. It's that simple. They're -4 in this series. So why are you shocked that they're down 0-2 headed back to PNC Arena on Thursday night?
There are two different ways to win hockey games.
Yes.
You can trade paint and be really good on your power play and just sit there and go, okay, we finished more of our chances than you did.
Yeah. And
their other way to win is for your goalie, as we've seen, Vasilevsky, Rask back with Boston.
Yeah.
You look at last year, obviously, with Bobrovsky. There's ways where you can win a series with your goalie. And I don't think Shesterkin's at that level, but I did think he was the better player last night. So I agree with you. Ultimately, though, what your penalty kill specifically is about your goalie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I get it that people want to get like, no. The Canes play man defense, basically, or whatever. I'm not going to sit here.
Essentially play man. Yes.
I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I understand hockey nuance. Okay,
they're one of Rod insists on playing a solid defense that you don't really see in the NHL, and that's fine. It works for him.
Whatever. Yeah. What I'm getting at though is ultimately the success of your penalty kill is about your goalie. In the first period of the game last night, on the very first power play that the Rangers had, Freddie came up with an unbelievable glove save on Zibanejad, one that he did not make the previous game. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is the difference, people. Zibanejad was wide open. There was a defensive breakdown. He still made the play. So ultimately, I think with Shesterkin last night, those shorthanded chances, I think it was Aho, maybe even Stahl, the shorthanded chances that they had at the end of regulation, Shesterkin makes a play. If he doesn't make the play, the Canes score, they win the game. It's 1-1. So the two different ways to win. You trade paint, you have an unbelievable power play, and you score, which the Rangers are doing. The other way is you have an unbelievable goalie who plays out of his mind. The Canes right now have neither. So you know what I'm saying? You almost kind of have to have one or the other.
I know what you're saying.
And I thought last year in the conference finals against Florida, Freddie did play out of his mind. The other goalie just played a little bit better.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
You downloaded the app, Joe.
I did. I really want you to be proud of me.
Look at you. Happy and
Hill
Hill app.
I really want you to be proud of me.
Welcome back, Joe. Are you now going down every item on the menu? Is that what you're doing?
I have knocked them all off in the last 2 days.
For you.
The Tide Chicken Crunch is now the new clubhouse leader.
Yeah.
But we're now spoiled in this age of gambling where we get rewards.
Mhm.
I have a free smoothie for just downloading the app, and it was my birthday. I also have a reward for my birthday. So happy plus hail on your Apple products, Pachanga.
Bring me a smoothie, man.
You're not getting my free smoothie. That's my free
I thought
smoothie.
you got
you
two.
download the app.
All right, I'll do that. Rod Brind'amour post game last night, getting back to the special teams and kind of repeating the same stuff we've been saying about the difference in this game. They've liked how they've played, but this is, to channel my Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday. It's a game of inches.
They played that on the PA.
Oh, did they?
Right, yeah. MSG. They also played John Denver.
Oh, they played Country Roads.
And
I
I'm
heard
like,
Country Roads. Yeah, what are we doing here?
Guys.
I thought we played really well. That in that department for sure. Both games, I thought we were pretty good in that department. Tonight, maybe even better than the other night. Certainly, had our opportunities.
And then as for the special teams, obviously that's got to get better.
Yeah.
What is there any on the power play? Are there any adjustments that you see you can make?
Yeah, we got to definitely be sharper. And we got to get inside. We're on the outside, and that's just not how we do it anyway. So it's got to get back to doing it the way we know how to.
And how important was it to see Jake kind of get going, like a really good tip and then a sniper's goal? But kind of been waiting to see.
Yeah, they were good tonight, that line, and if we're gonna come back in the series, we're gonna need those guys on the score sheet.
Rod, I know it didn't go the way you wanted 2 years ago, but can you at least take that series where we shifted back and forth with the home teams and try to use that?
Yeah, you always you always can say those things, but at the end of the day, we know what we have to do to win. So we're gonna have to just find a way to do that, and you can draw on anything you want, but at the end of the day, the guys, they believe in there. I know it. They're the ones playing the game, but I think they understand what we got to do, and I think they know they feel capable of it.
So that was Rod Brind'amour following the game. Here's Jordan Stahl, captain of the Canes, with another part of the storyline related to the Rangers, the officiating, and the knack for the Rangers to just be falling all the time.
Do you feel like they're going down easy? Good question. Good question. It is what it is. There's penalties. It's hard for us to know how hard guys hit other guys, and it is what it is.
So there you go. There's Jordan Stahl on the man. Adam Fox keeps finding himself falling on the ice. Weird, huh?
It's interesting. Just you said things that you think about overnight.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to move in. If they don't come back and win this series, we'll have your postmortem, and we'll have the autopsy where it went wrong, right? And you could talk about special teams, right? Talk about goaltending. I think this is the same question I had last year. My primary question last year was, is Sebastian Aho good enough to be your best player? Can you win the cup with Sebastian Aho as your best player, right? That was
I've been told you cannot win a cup without
Aho. So that was a primary question. I thought the way that he came back this year, he elevated his game. When they added Gensel, I thought his game went up even another level.
Sure.
So, and he was outstanding yesterday, right? When you are the guy at the top of the salary chart, that's who you have to be.
Okay.
It can't be some, but he the old Tara Vinen. Yeah, but he's like a loss leader. Like, he kind of helps unlock other guys. When you're at the top of the salary chart, you have to be that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a primary question we had last year. Last year was also, but we didn't have Svetch.
There's been a yin and a yang.
We're starting to get, I don't even know what the yin is, Joe, because here's the deal. You're number 2 on the salary chart. You're supposed to be the primary goal scorer on the team.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be your role.
He can't finish.
You were a premium asset as the number 2 overall pick. You have been very good, and you have a nice personality. You have the right grit, I think, to complement Aho and to complement some of the other finesse parts, natures of the roster. But at some point, you have to take the money off of the table when it's there.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, he was injured in the bubble, hurts his ankle in the bubble. Last year, obviously, the ACL, there's nothing he can do about that. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
them's
the breaks.
we exited last year going, yeah, but if they only had Svech. Well, now they have him. And I get that you want to put the fucking hockey jacket on and be hockey dad or whatever and tell me, yeah, but he was really good in front of the net. Get the fuck out of here with that stuff. You need to score. You need to be productive.
I don't disagree.
I don't need you to be Steph Nason, okay? I need you to be the number 2 overall fucking pick in the draft and produce. Okay?
Do not.
That's what you need to be.
I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Not you specifically, but I think a lot of people get into Svech, and it's like, you can live with dumb penalties if you offset them.
Of course.
Which he doesn't do.
But that's what I was getting at last night. And I guess we'll see how the rest of the series goes. So I'm not going to belabor the point. All I ask is that we end up being fair with what we see. And with Kuznetsov, he takes a dumb penalty, but he's not making up for dumb penalties. And that's why he's off the ice last night. Svechnikov.
I didn't love that move, by the way.
I didn't love it either. But ultimately it ended up proving immaterial to the point because the Canes had an opportunity to win last night and had nothing to do with Kuznetsov. It does have to do. Well, it does have to do with Andrei Svechnikov, though, and it's like the Dougie Hamilton debate from a couple years ago. Hey man,
good point.
Hey man, we're paying you a lot of money, and in the regular season, we can put up with your defensive deficiencies because, well, you're scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, but once we got to the postseason, hey man,
now you're a liability, and you're not offsetting it.
And you're not offsetting the liability. Yeah. Okay, so if that's going to be the case, well, then I'll just pay Tony DeAngelo $1 million to do that. Rather than $9 million,
which they did,
Okay, so Svechnikov is in that mold right now. We're in that point of his career, and that's why I joked. Inside you there are 2 Sveches, and there were really dumb penalties that he's taken in this series so far. But they're not in this game without him making a play behind the net, drawing 3 Rangers, getting that shit out to Aho, who had a clear shot at the net. And it gets deflected in by Gensel. That play does not happen without Svechnikov.
Right.
So I get what you're saying, though. The next part of Svech and why you paid in this money is, and we'll talk about this with Greg Wyshynski in a second, you got to finish. And that's ultimately been the Canes' biggest problem is that there's this inconsistency in finishing.
Housekeeping.
Thanks to Enovana for sponsoring Housekeeping. Check them out, ENOVANA.com. With all this hockey, all these late nights, you have no time to clean. You don't feel like cleaning. So you know what you do? You contact Enovana and they'll do it for you. You can do a one-time cleaning. You can do recurring cleaning. They got you covered.
If you have messes at your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
So we are doing the beard gang. And
how's it going?
So far, so good. People have been sending us their beards. So just OG Beard Gang. If you want to email us or tag us on Instagram, use that hashtag, tag us, OG Beard Gang.
It's the other kernel.
It's for that kernel in the corner, not the rye that's sitting in front of you. That's yours.
Okay.
So that's the kernel over there in the corner.
Well, that's ours.
So when the playoffs are over, I'm going to do one big shout out for one big call out, a prompt, if you will, for your playoff beards. And the gnarliest, nastiest beard will get the bottle of Colonel Taylor.
Assuming you follow us on the YouTubes.
This is true. This is true. Now, if you've got a patchy beard, any of that stuff, I think we got like a bottle of Jack Daniels for you. Or do you want to give them the ancient age, the big jug of ancient age?
No, I want to try that because I feel like
you like the cheap plastic jug.
No, but isn't
bourbon.
that supposed to be the not good enough Blantons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. So anyway, all that stuff is there.
Fascinated by that.
Interesting
concept,
isn't it? So we've got that bottle for you. But people have been asking, well, what about the ladies? What about the female audience? And I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. Because we're not going to ask you to grow out a beard. We're not going to do a thing like grow out your leg hair and show us. Like, we're going to do that. What did you want to do for Mother's Day?
I'll make sure you get them what they really want.
Brown liquor?
Brown liquor.
So here's what we're going to do.
Get mom what she really wants. Brown liquor.
I don't have the graphics for it yet, but Anna's working on it right now. So I've been wanting to do a voicemail segment for a long time.
I'll show you my quick skills here.
Are we doing a meeting?
No, I was just going to type in the number. Give it to me. 919.
So here's what we're going to do.
444.
No, hold on a second. So I've been wanting to do a voicemail segment for a long time. I don't know what to call it other than it's the sports phone. OG sports phone. Why not? Just leave a message, whatever it is. And you can even text us too if you want to, because Google's fancy like that. So yesterday afternoon, I went on Google Voice to just kind of, all right, what numbers are available? Because you know a toll-free number, like if I wanted to get 1-888-OG phone or something like that, that's not cheap. So I'm like, you know what? Google Voice is free. So what's a number that just rolls off the tongue? And I found one. I was so happy. I didn't think I would get one. I was so happy. So the number is 919-444-2211. 919-444-2211. So that's the OG sports phone. You can text it. You can leave a message. There it is. OG sports phone. 919-444-2211. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this prompt it's too late for Mother's Day already to like turn this thing around quickly. So next Thursday.
Yeah, once you disappoint her on Mother's Day, then she really needs brown liquor. So that's where we come in.
Bingo. So here's what we're going to do. Next Thursday for OG Live.
Next Thursday for OG Live, we are going to be at Nature's Relief on Western Boulevard. So
yes. So
this is nice.
So next week, we'll run some of the voicemail. Here's the prompt. We just need a sports mom story. Whether it's you, the mom, who's got some, oh, by the way, I have like 3 kids and I got cheer, I got hockey, and I got soccer.
A lot of travel.
A lot of travel. Like, I don't know, tell me how much mileage you've got on that Honda Pilot. You know what I'm saying?
And I really want mom to be the one who wants to drink this.
Yes. Please have it be the mom. Or if you have a mom that loves brown liquor, or you are a husband with a wife who enjoys bourbon and you've got some crazy sports mom story, it could be you talking about that time your mom almost fought an umpire.
Ooh.
I mean, I got a great Kelly story where she almost fought another hockey parent at a rink. She was ready.
I'm looking around. We actually do have one extra Eagle Rare.
We do.
Okay.
So you want to give out the Eagle Rare for that?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I think that's too spicy.
That's the voicemail. Yeah, I know you do, even though it's a great bourbon. So that's the voicemail. Give me the mom story. Give me the sports mom story. You could be the mom. You could be talking about your mom. You could be talking about the mom in your life. I just need that story. Could be funny. Could be sweet. We'll determine. Just call the sports phone. 919-444-2211. You mentioned Nature's Relief. Yes, we are going to be out at Nature's Relief next week, Western Boulevard location. Check them out online at naturesrelief.com. Again, that's naturesrelief.com.
RELEAF.
Yes.
Relief.
So you got questions, they got answers for you, and we'll find out. I'll have questions next week because there's a couple things that I need to pick up. Big thing. Look, you could find yourself getting one of their pre-rolls and you end up kind of getting struck with something that you want to eat. You know what you could do?
Oh,
prepare yourself.
Coffee and cake.
Just get the coffee and cake from Two Roosters. Talk about corporate champion synergy, baby. So go to tworoosters.com. They've got rotating flavors. It's fantastic. Joe has this new flavor that he's obsessed with.
Coffee and cake.
Coffee and cake.
So I went over to Person Street a little earlier in the week or last week. And I was like, hey, I need to get some more of those sweatshirts. And they're like, well, if there's not your size here, we can order. I go, no. I need it to be here.
Yeah.
Because then it smells like the waffle cones. Because when it sits in that store, that's all you bring it home and you're like, I'm going, why do I want ice cream? I don't understand.
Give it to me. But right now I need coffee. I need straight up coffee, not coffee in the ice cream. And that's where Breeze Through comes in. Get that tumbler. Lifetime refills. Head on over to breezethrough.com. Most importantly, they do have gas, but if you're
speaking of apps,
if you're dragging today, get coffee there, and they do have an app.
5 cents a gallon.
I love it. Oh. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline from ESPN, has been covering the NHL for a very, very long time. We've been talking to him for a long time. He is Greg Wyshynski. Greg, what's going on, man?
It has been a very, very long time. I think I was covering hockey when Peter Laviolette was the Canes coach, my God sakes. That's how long I've been doing this for.
Joe's been workshopping this whole Star Wars. I couldn't think of a more appropriate person to talk to about this because Joe gets his Star Wars metaphors all screwed up. But going into the series, you were positioning Laviolette and brind'amour in a very similar fashion.
Yeah, Laviolette was Qui-Gon. brind'amour is Obi-Wan. And now Lafreniere is Kylo Ren. I'll clean up my language from yesterday, but that guy. That's straight out of that Lucas lore, man.
Mhm.
Oh, how'd you get this player? Oh, no,
I'll
how'd
go-
you get this player? Oh, because you lost to the Canes in the bubble? And then then you won the lottery? Now you got this guy?
Mhm.
Now he's going to come back and beat you? Oh, interesting.
If we're gonna see this all the way through, I think Laviolette's temperament is more Obi-Wan, a little hot-headed. I think brind'amour has more of a Qui-Gon, temperament in the sense of like it all rolls off his back usually.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a little snippy. He's a little, think of Qui-Gon in front of the Jedi Council. Like he's a little snippy, but he's not like yelling. I prefer to think of it more of a Darth Sidious, Darth Maul situation.
I brought up Darth Maul because when Joe brought this up the first time, I'm like, well, Qui-Gon got gutted by Darth Maul.
Yeah.
So, like, who's Darth Maul in the situation where Obi-Wan, splits him in half?
Brind'amour is Darth Maul. I mean, he's laser focus, impeccable physical condition.
Yes.
And
man a few words.
A man of few words. Exactly. I mean, that man is the Darth Mauliest Darth Maul that ever Darth Mauled.
At last, we will reveal ourselves to the ring.
What'd you think of the officiating? It was fine. It was fine.
Well, I think in all this time, a few more Rangers fell on the ice and became more of the box. Look, man, I get that it's playoff hockey. You're doing everything you possibly can do. But from our perspective, from the Canes' perspective, everybody was worried about Rempe. Here's this goon, blah, 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 blah. Turns out Adam Fox is the one that everybody hates now because he constantly finds himself on the wrong end of a stick or he's falling on the ice and acting like Gensel rocked him like it was a super punch out. But that's playoff hockey, man, and the Canes cannot give into that, and that's what we've seen so far in the first two games.
Well, it also doesn't help that the officials aren't calling, penalties at the right time or calling the right penalties. I mean, like
on the right players.
Or on the right players. Like the Shea cross check in overtime rightfully was pilloried by a lot of people for one being a pretty weak cross check in the sense that the majority of his stick was like outside of his left hand versus what you traditionally see on a cross check, and then two, just not being the kind of thing that you want to see called in a second overtime, right? So I do think that there are gripes that the Canes can have about the officiating in the series, but they become a little immaterial when you go from being the best penalty killing team in the regular season to now having two series where your PK might be the weakest part of your team. Like there's some deficiency there that I don't know how it crept into their system or what, but like for all the wonky calls that they're making in favor of the Rangers in the series, like kill a penalty. You are the best penalty killing team in the league. Kill a penalty.
Just to go full Star Wars here, is Count Dooku was the guy who switched sides? Does that make Trocheck Count Dooku?
Yeah,
because he's scoring a shit ton of goals.
I mean, Trocheck certainly built up a clone army that's in our YouTube comment section from all the Rangers fans in the area. Nonstop, man.
I like how you go Count Dooku when I don't know, Darth Vader famously switched sides.
My bad, man. Come on,
that's true too.
Let's go a little deeper cut. You had me on the prequel.
He's been their best forward. Like I covered them against the Capitals, and I think for all the points that Zibanejad had amassed, for all the moments of offensive flourish that Artemi Panarin's had, like Trocheck's been great. And for him to play the amount of minutes he played last night, most minutes for any player on the team, including defensemen, was sick. And he's been great for them. There's two guys that I've dogged here and there throughout their careers because I've not been huge fans of their games, and both of them are playing really well for the Rangers. One's Trocheck, who I thought was sort of, I don't know, like on the precipice of being a third line center at times during his career. And the other guy is Jack Roslovic, who they picked up from Columbus at the trade deadline, and he's been awesome for them on their top line. Like two guys playing maybe their best hockey for the Rangers at the right time.
So it's very difficult to talk about the Canes having been around for a long time because you remember what the Canes were, right? They wouldn't make the playoffs, and they make the playoffs. They'd have this incredible run. They came up short, obviously, in 2002. They win it in 2006. 2009, they get swept out of the conference finals. But like you have these core memories of like these incredible runs. On the flip side of that, you would rather take the last 6 years with Rob brind'amour because they've been great in the regular season. Everybody's locked in. There's real expectations. But there's this kind of nagging, creeping dread that I think a lot of people who cover the team have started to feel after 2 games against the Rangers. Oh man, this feels like 22 again, or damn it, this feels like last year against the Panthers, where you can have 500 shots on the net, but none of them are the X-wing going into the exhaust port and blowing up the team.
Do we have any more?
We keep going Star Wars, baby. Let's go.
Can we get Khaleesi in there somewhere, please?
Well, from Solo was slept on, honestly. But regardless, the problem seems to be creeping up again in that this team can have all the shots on net they want, and you can give me the fancy stats about, high danger chances, but you got to bury this shit. And this is now like about 4 to 5 years of this kind of creeping up at the worst possible time for the Carolina Hurricanes. Is there something to this? Is it Rod? Is it the players they have? Why does this keep happening, quote unquote?
I mean, it's the players they have. I mean, if we're being honest, like the deal with the Rangers coming into the series, and I pointed this out in our preview, is that while they typically get rolled when it comes to like shot attempts and possession at 5-on-5, they have finishers. They have guys that put the puck in the net at a rate that was much greater than that of the Hurricanes. So, and you see it in the series. I mean, the Rangers, get their chances and bury them, in particular on the power play, while the Hurricanes don't necessarily. So, yeah, it is a deficiency. But you bring up the brind'amour thing. I don't know if it's a heel turn up for me or what, but like when I hear people put this guy on a throne, like a throne that should be occupied by the likes of like John Cooper, right? To throw a name out there. And this guy in brind'amour has never coached a team to play for the Stanley Cup, has never won a conference final game. Is my math right on that?
Yeah. Yeah. They have not won a conference final game. No.
Like at some point, do we, take the Teflon off and kind of be a little bit more, take more of a critical eye? I think there's, I was thinking about this guy, Dave Tippett, the other day. Remember Dave Tippett, the head coach of the Arizona Coyotes?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he was always overpraised because the perception was he's making the most out of being the coach of the Arizona Coyotes. And I personally have felt through the years that because of the perception of the Carolina Hurricanes as being a team that doesn't have Sidney Crosby, that doesn't have an endless budget, a team that plays in a non-traditional market, that because he gets such a performance out of them in the regular season on a regular basis, that his reputation has been maybe inflated a little bit. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. He's a great coach. Yeah. I'm not saying that if you put him in another market, he couldn't maybe even have more success than he's had in Carolina, but
you'd hate it.
You'd hate it. But I mean, I feel like there's a lot of like, let's credit the guy with the touchdown, but he can only get to the 5-yard line.
So I think there's a couple things going on here, and I know Joe's got thoughts on this as well, but I'll get it started. But the first one is, and you touched on it, about how people view this market and they view the Carolina Hurricanes. I can tell you locally how we talk about the team, how Luke DeCocca, the News and Observer, discusses the team. It has elevated with real expectations. It's not all that different in how we talk about a Carolina basketball squad or a Duke basketball squad with actual expectations. NC State football is going to deal with it this year. Like, oh man, you've got these transfer guys, you got a quarterback, all this experience. There's expectations on the Canes. And I've made this joke in that the traditional markets of hockey, now that Tom Dundon has doubled down on this team being in this market, it's not going anywhere. They have to find the new thing that shows you, well, this market isn't a real market. And that is, we can take your coach. Oh, he's done what he can do with the Carolina Hurricanes, even though Dundon's made it a cap team the last couple of years. It's not like they're not spending money on the roster.
That's perception, right? Like, it's not true.
It's clearly this is what we think of the Hurricanes. Now let's see what Rod can do in Toronto, which he would freaking hate with a passion, or any other play, like the Ron Francis stuff. That tells me that, do you really know the dynamics? Like, oh, Ron's going to throw him the bag in Seattle. Like, guys, it ain't like that. So I think that's part of the reason why people talk about this. And of course, Rod's work ethic is legendary. You can go all the aggregator TikToks, and without fail, when they talk about Rod brind'amour, you're going to see that picture with him in the Flyers shirtless, all oiled up. So all that stuff kind of leads to Rod brind'amour having this reputation. But I think most of it has to do with the perception of the Carolina Hurricanes.
I completely agree. But I mean, if you're talking about maturation of a hockey market, like a mature hockey market at some point says, we haven't gotten the results that we wanted from this coach.
Yeah.
And that regular season isn't good enough. And really good coaches lose their jobs all the time because of a lack of playoff success. Like if you took his playoff resume and you put it in more of a high pressure market where it's not just like you guys and Luke DeCock and a few other people covering the team on a regular basis, like would he still have a gig or would he be on the pedestal he's on if he was a guy that got great regular season success, frequently checked out in the second round, and never won a conference final game?
He would get fired, and they would bring in Peter Laviolette or John.
They would bring in John. It's not necessarily untrue, but again, I love Rod. Like I think that he's a great coach, but I mean, I just think at some point, like the idea of being like, how dare the Hurricanes even waffle for a moment and thinking about this guy as their coach? I'm like, all right, or we could look at the results. Like we could do that too. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It seems like he has like endangered species status as far as like a coach. It's like if you criticize, if you look at the deer, he'll scurry away. We don't want to criticize the coach. What if he goes away? Who will coach the team then?
But real quick, he will. I mean, I don't really think that. Like, look, man. I don't think he coaches after this.
Yeah, but let's go back a half a step.
Okay.
My comparison for the Hurricanes is the Senators from 99 through 08, the year after they go to the Cup. How do you feel about that, Greg?
Well, I mean, you had different phases of that team, during that time. You had your
let's go to the Jacques Martin phase because he didn't get him to the Cup either. But regularly 100 points, 95 points, 100 plus points. You're one of the best teams in the regular season, and then you have some issues in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I would say this for Rod. I think, but once your message fades, doesn't matter who you are. That's when you get in trouble.
But so two things on that. One is I think the Ottawa comparison is interesting in the sense that I also think that's a market where people are like,
yes, look at you
for Ottawa.
You can pat him on the head.
Congratulations, Ottawa. We didn't really think you'd do all that well, but you did in Ottawa. You did pretty good. You were like a real hockey team.
Yeah, that's why I think it's an apt comparison. Daniel Alfredson, I think the Canes have a little bit of Aho's got a little bit of that. He's really good. He's on track to be a Hall of Famer.
A billion goalies during that time too.
A lot of different goalies, not a lot of consistency. So,
but to your point that on Rod, it's like, I don't know. I had a point and I forgot what it was going to be, but it was during your
there's a message and there's a culture. I hate the word culture, but the truth of the matter is he is this Kuznetsov thing is interesting to me when you start getting into what were some of the moves that he made. I think a lot of times with Rod and his resume, I'm getting caught on that. You said he would be fired in another market, which I don't agree with because he was their star player who led them to a cup. So he does have some, resume built in there. Right. But I also think there's been an injury every year of the playoffs, other than the time they lost to the Rangers 2 years ago. That was bad. Right. But I think with Rod, when you have a message and you have a culture and you can bring different people in and fit those people in, that's how, even without the playoff success, you're like, okay, the players are still buying what he's saying. Right. So this can,
that's okay. That's what I was going to say. Like, I don't agree that the players have, like, the message has gone stale.
Yes. And Greg, you know enough about hockey and you've seen it enough times where you realize Peter Laviolette, perfect example.
It will go away.
Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, nope, they're not listening to him anymore. And you're like, oh, okay.
I'm a Devils fan. I saw it firsthand what happens when a team doesn't want to play for the coach anymore. It happened twice this year for them when they had Lindy Ruff and then when they fired Lindy Ruff and brought in Travis Green.
Right.
No, I don't think his message has waned, but let me throw it back on you on that like market question. Granted, the Pesce injury obviously hurts hugely. Like, I mean, you look at Tony DeAngelo on that second power play unit, there's no fear at all about that guy running point on the second power play unit. I mean, you could just see the difference in the way the Rangers attack the point when he's out there versus the first unit. But I think the thing for me is that if they bow out in the second round this year, then it's in a year in which they really pushed all in at the deadline.
Yeah.
with Gensel and then with Kuznetsov. And Kuznetsov gets scratched because he took a really bad penalty in game one and was kind of a non-factor. And also you can scratch the guy and not feel bad about it because he's basically like the worst defensive forward on the team. But I think if you crash out in the second round with the expectation of this being the year because management has signaled it should be the year because they went out and made the Gensel trade, I mean, then it becomes a different kind of disappointment. Agreed. I don't know. I'll push back on the idea that this guy would have been safe in a different market. Even Cooper, who I brought up before, I think escapes the axe during those years before they went on their run because he's in Tampa. And because the pressure's not turned up in the way that it is in Vancouver or Toronto or Boston or New York.
Oh, look, man, I have said this to people within the Canes organization when players have been kind of miffed about coverage around here. It's like, if you think our gentle, like, hey, wish you could do better is annoying. I mean, it's like, have you not been in other markets? Like, did you not experience this stuff? Like, come on now. So I'm in agreement in that market matters. To Joe's point about here's a guy who, ushered in a culture for the Carolina Hurricanes. And if you talk about greatest Cane, it's going to be Rod Brind'amour. He's, he is the guy. But I don't think that factors in other markets. I think it factors in here, where it's more of a college heavy market where everybody's going to love up their heroes all the time. It's a little bit different in other places.
It's kind of wild to me that, and you could correct me if I'm wrong here, Greg, the Devils never hired one of their former players from their real.
They did actually.
Which one was it?
They hired. So they've done it twice. One, they hired John McClain.
Oh, diehard. Okay.
Yeah, who didn't work out. It was fired like games into a season.
Okay.
And then Scott Stevens, this is just Lou Lamoriello, man. Scott Stevens was part of a three-headed monster coach that Lamoriello had one year where it was him, Adam Oates, and Stevens coaching the team all together was what happened one year.
When was this? I don't remember this.
This was in the 2000s. This was after Lou did his famous, like, I'm just going to fire our coach midseason, and my solution is to name me the coach.
Yeah.
Maybe the real comparison there is that Lou is the cult of personality. I think Rod is the cult of personality for this franchise, and I think you have an owner who believes that as well. I mean,
well, let me ask you this: what happens if he goes? Like, what happens if he decides the money's better elsewhere? Yeah. I've decided I can actually move away from this market. I don't think it's going to happen, but like in theory, like what happens? You think the team falls apart? I think about what happened in Florida when Quenneville had to resign because of the Chicago thing. Brunette takes over. They play the same style of hockey, and they thrive.
The wild card here is
I'm not even going to lie to you, Greg. Okay, I don't know. You said John Cooper. I know his name. I know Paul Maurice's name. The guy at Colorado who just won the cup, no idea. The guy in Vegas who just won the cup, no idea.
You know who that guy? That guy coached Boston. That's Bruce Cassidy.
I get that guy. You could say the name to me, but if you had just said to me, "I'll put $2 million into your DraftKings account right now," if you can name the Vegas coach, I would be like,
there's a little interchangeability. There's some interchangeability with some hockey coaches.
Okay, but what if I did that and then what if I did that and then I said there was a
Minnesota coach? I can't name all these other coaches. I know who the players are. And I think that's the advantage that Rod has in this market is like, not only are you the former player, you're the former player.
Both of you are missing the wild card in this equation. And that's the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes who wants to do things differently. I mean, we're sitting here having an argument about Rod Brind'amour, while at the same time, he's been kind of left with the stupidity of a Tom Dundon negotiation with his contract.
Send his radio crew for 2 days to
right. I mean,
New York.
That's what you're dealing with. I mean, poor Don Waddell, who's been a good soldier this entire time, had to go through the whole process of, he has a lifetime contract. No, Tom, you have to give him a contract. Okay. So that, I think, is an X factor in all this. He's like, who replaces Rod Brind'amour? Dude, I don't know, because who wants to work for Tom? That's the wild card that I don't know, because he's not going to throw money at you.
This is they're down 0-2 in a series conversation. Like I think they could easily come back and win both games in Carolina because that's just what they do. Like they're fantastic in Raleigh. But again, like if the sum total of the series is them checking out in the second round again, like I'll be interested to see if the conversation changes about Brind'amour.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I don't think the series is over yet. I mean, we've seen this before. What's the old saying? The series doesn't start until the home team loses a game, and the Canes had an opportunity to do it. They just couldn't cash in on the power play. But I appreciated the tangent.
Actually, they couldn't cash in on the penalty kill at the end of regulation. That was really where the game was.
That was determined. Greg, we appreciate the time, appreciate the Star Wars tangent, and an unexpected conversation of whether or not Rod Brind'amour is on the hot seat. I feel like I'm in college basketball.
Where else am I going to talk about this? It's not like, oh wait, I do have a podcast. I guess I can talk about it.
You do have a podcast.
Still, it's yours. Yeah, Toronto would fire him. I totally agree.
Yes.
Toronto would fire
his ass would be fired in Boston. His ass would be fired in New York. I mean, we've seen this stuff before. It's a little bit different, but All right, man. We appreciate the time as always. We will talk to you later.
Anytime. Thanks.
That Wyshynski conversation took a turn I was not expecting. Is Rod Brind'amour overrated? Oh, okay then. I enjoyed the convo though. I'm sure we'll revisit this, whatever happens with the Canes in the postseason. In the meantime, check out Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. Joe, this is about buying and selling with confidence. You might not have you might not have confidence in the Canes penalty kill right now, but you should have confidence when it comes to buying and selling a home thanks to Hometown Realty, Joe.
Yeah, 6 locations from here to the coast, more than 250 agents. Don't chance it with your primary asset. Make the most money out of it, either your home sale or buy with confidence. Don't think, I'm going to put an offer in and no one's going to be my advocate.
Yeah.
Hometown Realty is your advocate. myhtr.com.
Go to longleafswine.com if you're thinking about tailgating this weekend. We got games Thursday and Saturday. Maybe you don't have time on Thursday. Just drop by Longleaf Swine, get yourself the spread, head on over to PNC Arena. Or maybe you are having a big tailgate you're going to be a part of. You want to bring something. You don't want to be empty-handed. Longleaf Swine. Check them out online, longleafswine.com. Look, the barbecue's great. The brisket's fantastic. Their dinner specials are off the charts, but don't sleep on the sides, which you can bring to various tailgates. And look, it's hot now, man. So that means you need something comfortable. You need something that's moisture wicking. You need something from Rowback. Check them out online, rowback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use that promo code OG20 at rowback.com. I'm wearing the everyday shorts today. I feel like they are the most comfortable shorts I have in the collection now.
Well, what I hear you saying is Rowback has more than just golf shirts.
Yes.
Even though they have unbelievable golf shirts, even though that's the fastball, you're saying they have more.
They have more, and you can find out at rowback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the fastest growing segment in this podcast. It's time for the lightning round.
Just wait until I get new production. Anna's working on a graphic. Brian at Nice Price is working on new music.
Ooh.
I'm excited.
All right, up first in the lightning round, we have my family.
Oh, no.
Brian Kelly, coach at LSU, a place that had the reason why he went. Why did he go to LSU, Joe?
Because he could recruit more,
right?
Better,
right. But Brian
better.
Kelly is acting as though in 2024, in the year of our Lord, 2024, in the world of college athletics,
he needs to develop and get those relationships.
Yeah, it's not about NIL. No, we don't play that game. Well, then why aren't you? It's LSU. It's the SEC.
It's LSU, sir.
So this is from Jacques Doucette, who had a sit down with Brian Kelly, WAFB. This was aggregated by Power Hour LSU. This is where aggregation comes in handy. And listen to Brian Kelly act as though it's 2012 and not
1987,
not 2024.
But even at LSU, man,
right, man, come on.
The D line, interior D lineman. Where are you right now with that?
Well, I think I made it pretty clear in a number of the press conferences that I had that we were in the market in recruiting in the transfer portal looking for defensive linemen. It hasn't fared very well, quite frankly, because, we're selling something a little bit differently. And that is we want to recruit. We want to engage, build relationships. We want to develop, retain, and have you and have success. We're not in the market of buying players, and unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought. And look, I understand NIL is part of this, and we have an incredible collective. We have very, very generous opportunities around the greater Baton Rouge area for NIL opportunities. So they are here, but we're not going to go out and buy players. That's not what this is about. This was never about that. We will develop you. We will get you ready for the next step, as we did with Jaden Daniels, as we did with Malik Neighbors, as we did with Brian Thomas. We developed 3 defensive linemen that all got drafted this year, and we'll do that again. But if you're just looking to get paid, you're looking in the wrong place. If you like all the things that we do here in developing our players, bringing you into a championship program, playing in front of the best fan base in America, playing for championships, and having an opportunity for NIL, you should be a Tiger. But if you just want to get, paid, this is not the place for you.
Oh, boy. Look, if that was Dave Doran saying that at NC State, I'll even say if that was Mac Brown at North Carolina and you were selling, look, because you have to pivot. You don't have the bag. You don't have the bag. So you have to sell something different.
If he was still at Notre Dame,
you have to sell something different.
If he was working for Jim Phillips somewhere,
you're at freaking LSU. The greater Baton Rouge area. Hey, man, I've been to Baton Rouge. It's a nice place.
The Chamber of Commerce tour.
I like it. Baton Rouge was nice.
Some wonderful opportunity.
Dude,
Odell Beckham Jr. was handing out money after the championship game.
And Brian Kelly already has an inability to have that kind of bedside manner when it comes to his personality. Buddy, this ain't helping.
My family.
Woo!
It's 2024, Brian Kelly. All right.
There's no Golden Dome in the greater.
No.
You want to sell all that happy horse shit at Notre Dame? Go ahead, man. Well, why are you doing that in LSU?
Lightning round item number 2.
You're an idiot. Speaking of lightning and attempting 27 passes, 9 inches of standing water.
Dumbass. From Matt Norlander and Dennis Dodd over at CBSSports.com. Speaking of NIL-driven Las Vegas college basketball event with millions paid to schools is nearly finalized. The Players Era Festival will include 8 teams in 2024. In 2025, they'll double it to 16 teams with huge brands. This is from the story as I'm reading from CBSSports.com. Games will be played in November under the umbrella of an event dubbed the Players Era Festival, which will include live music, other attractions. It's Vegas. Come on now. There's plenty of things to do there. Go to the Sphere. In a college sports first, the event will also include $1 million NIL payouts for 8 participating schools. What's more, players involved will have future earning opportunities through long-term NIL contracts, according to CBSSports.com. They want to double the field. So the first iteration will include Alabama, Houston, Notre Dame, Oregon, Rutgers, San Diego State, and Texas A&M.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame was interesting. And plans to double for 2025. Duke, Gonzaga, Kansas, Michigan, Syracuse, and Virginia have all engaged in discussions about potentially playing in 2025.
Go back. Scroll back to the list of teams.
Alabama, Houston, Notre Dame.
The fuck is Notre Dame doing there?
That's a great question, man. Great question.
San Diego State just lost their whole roster.
Yeah, there's
Rutgers has like the best recruiting class in the history of ever.
So this is
my boy Buzz Williams.
So this is from a quote in the story.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Quote, if there are events where there's an extraordinary amount of money involved and there's no donor fatigue involved in this, how do you not play in this? One coach participating in the Players Era Festival told CBS Sports. There's not a decision we make that's not NIL driven, unless you're Brian Kelly over at LSU. I'll play in the parking lot of Mandalay Bay. Just clear the fucking check.
Yeah. I mean, finally.
This is what we've been talking about. This is, on a basketball level, intriguing, but ultimately this will trickle to football. And this gets to the Super League conversation. Somebody's going to come in with a lot of money and make it really, really difficult for people to stand by what always has been the status quo in college football.
$1 million is not a lot for 8 schools, by the way. I'm assuming it's just $1 million pot that they're splitting amongst the 8 schools.
I believe that's $1 million in bonus bets that you can then take to Mandalay Bay. And
I would take it.
And you can flip that, Joe, into $10 million.
That's right.
Just saying. It's something to keep an eye on.
Lightning round item number 3.
Thunder. What's he talking about thunder?
Because thunder always comes after
lightning.
You have been discussing off-season protocol on the podcast.
Oh,
I mean, it could be
not looking forward to it.
It could be a reason why I'm dusting off the OG Sports phone.
Just not looking forward to it.
Because we are looking down the barrel of off-season protocol.
It's almost chicken salad season.
We'll make it work.
It's almost chicken salad season.
We might just have to start doing Wednesdays. Within Tuesdays with Maury's.
Yeah,
we have to do Tuesday with OG friends, where they come by the studio and hang out. Why not? Right?
What would be your all-time starting 5?
Well, what we have now, and we can thank Austin Rivers has been brought into ESPN to be the great chaos agent. He'll say some outlandish shit and get people going on it. So he was on Pat McAfee's show, and for some reason they got on a conversation about NFL versus the NBA. And I guess this is related to rest days, all that kind of stuff, right? And Austin Rivers said, I'll take 30 players right now in the NBA and throw them in the NFL. You cannot do the opposite. Here's the clip from the McAfee show.
Hey, listen, NBA is a fantastic. Let's not get crazy, though. About 30 guys could go in there.
I mean,
who's coming up? Anthony Edwards.
We got 5 max.
We got Anthony Edwards coming over.
Jimmy Butler.
Russ.
Oh, you guys are drunk early in the morning.
Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook.
Zion at left tackle.
Zion would be fantastic. But then he would just be he'd just be a football player, which he has been maybe this entire time.
Pretty much. True.
I put Josh.
No. Did I lose the audience?
So,
Draymond at the end, maybe just clubbing people.
We've seen Draymond and pass already.
We saw. Well, he's not playing. He's not playing tight end.
Think about them running in these. You know what I mean?
Man.
Like it is.
Fish
it's
out
just
of water.
Nonetheless, you guys are great athletes. Okay.
Global. We're global. We're global, man. Because football somewhere else is a little bit more important. They call it. You know what I mean? When you go overseas, you talk about football. They think you're talking about real football.
What?
Okay, first off, I'm complaining now because I looked. If you're watching on YouTube, you saw me like go to my computer screen because I was like, wait a minute, why is Austin Rivers sounding like he's off mic when he has a $500 microphone sitting in the shot? Why is the microphone in the shot and you'll have it running to the board? Now, this is somebody who has screwed up on the Apple products before, and we've been off mic, but come on, man, do a McAfee show, get your damn mic hooked up. It's a $500 microphone. I'd love to have that microphone. Anyway,
because you're not to the money shot yet, you're still in the setup part.
No. The McAfee show is nothing but setup.
Okay.
Have you ever watched the McAfee show?
No.
It's 3 hours of setup. It's amazing how they managed to go 3 hours without talking about anything. But who am I? I'm just a jabroni with a local podcast. He's secured the bag. So salute to Pat McAfee. Yes, he has. Anyway, so it just goes back and forth like that. And it's Austin Rivers just making this point that there are examples of NBA players or basketball players who have transitioned over to football. And
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham is one of them.
Antonio Gates
is the other one. But you notice it's a very specific position.
Tight end,
wide receiver, that sort of thing, right?
Mo Alley Cox.
And in the cases of like Antonio Gates, it was like he had that realization of like, ooh, this basketball stuff's kind of hard, but I can go out there because he came to it late. He's like, I can go out there and catch passes. Yeah, I'm athletic enough, and that's the case. But of course,
Tony Gonzalez. Did you say that already?
No, I did not say Tony Gonzalez. Thank you for bringing up Tony Gonzalez.
Lost to Carolina up at Syracuse in the Sweet 16.
Look at Julius Peppers. We've gone this far without talking about Julius Peppers, who was one of one.
I mean, come on now.
One of one.
Come on.
One of one Julius Peppers. All right. But but the reason why I say this is
Ronald Curry.
That's true. Who was the NC State wide receiver who ran into the field goal post? He famously ran into the field goal post trying to catch a pass.
Oh, kid from Durham.
Right. I can't remember his name, but he played basketball and football too. But I can't remember his name now. It's going to bother me. And I'm sure in the YouTube comments, somebody will bring it up. But the point here is that we've hit peak offseason protocol because NFL people need something. They need something right now, man. So Austin Rivers gave them exactly what they needed because last night I'm watching hockey. I know there's NBA playoffs game going on. And it's intermission. I pull up Twitter. What do I see? The NFL schedule release will happen next week. Plan accordingly. I'm like, oh my goodness, people, there's actual sports taking place right now. Watch it. Come on now.
Take a hockey break.
Do I need to play it again? Let's play it again. It's like, hey, Adam Schefter.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break.
Come on, man. So Rivers gave football people exactly what they needed. No, you don't understand. Playing football is like getting ready for war. You wouldn't serve, you little piece.
You would never.
I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. So this is why I commend Chris Long, ACC legend. Chris Long's got a podcast. He is an ACC legend. So Chris Long goes on his podcast. He's like, and this is how his NFL training camps are the main reason that NBA players don't cross over. And he's like, emergency Austin Rivers rant incoming. And I commend Chris Long for making content out of this, man.
All right. Here's the main thing keeping NBA players from crossing over. Even if they were good enough, even if they were talented enough, even if they were kind of mean enough, here's what's keeping them. Training camp. Hey, coach, what time's shoot around? Ain't no shoot around, bro. 8 a.m., full pads, 110 degrees. They had us fucking practicing on a field in St. Louis next to a burning underground landfill. It was like an Aaron Brockovich situation. Okay? They don't care. You got sweaty balls. You got sweaty butt. You got fucking first drills inside run. Your breakfast is right here. I got a bruise on my forehead that starts day one of camp. Oh, and training camp's like a month long. I mean, even the new CBA. I don't know if you guys can handle the new CBA. Oh, and we got these guys called coaches who actually yell at you and say whatever the fuck they want to and treat you like employees. I don't know if you ever heard of those people. I know in your league, they just kind of make sure you get on the team plane and they know when to call timeout. Matter of fact, Austin Rivers, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go coach the Clippers. Doesn't seem too hard. I'm going to go coach the Sixers. Doesn't seem too hard. Sports science guys, what do you think? Should I call a timeout? Should we give them a day off? You can't load manage in the NFL, bro. The minute a coach talks to you sideways, you're going to flip out. You're going to leave. The minute inside run starts and you're like, oh, wait, can't I just play in the game, coach? Nah, that's not the way it works.
I enjoyed the subtle shots at Doc Rivers by referencing the Clippers and the Sixers. I appreciated that. That's really well done from Chris Long. And he actually makes good points. But this is the part that I like, look, man, I'm in beef mode right now because we have Kendrick, we got Drake. I listened to all the tracks. I got my I even made like a little EP playlist of every diss in sequential order because I was all in this weekend with the Drake Kendrick thing. So I commend an off-season protocol, the NBA guys and the NFL guys warring over what's more difficult. Can you translate? But here's where I hate the two sides. Here's what I hate about the two sides. Because you know what's going to happen by Friday. Baseball man's going to enter the chat.
Oh,
I have no time.
No one could actually hit a.
Oh, you want to talk about two-a-days? You want to talk about the NBA grind? I can't see any of these guys hitting a curveball. You know that's going to happen. Or even better, Hockey Man's going to enter the chat. Oh, I'd like to see Chris Long on skates. Folks, it's May 8th. There's plenty of stuff going on. Can we save this for July? That's all I ask. Can we just save this for July? And that, folks,
is your lightning round.
This keeps getting faster and faster.
We are taking sponsorship opportunities for the lightning round. Just say, just something to consider. Hit us up if you want to sponsor
the fastest moving segment.
The fastest moving segment on the fastest growing podcast in the triangle.
Do you know what's better than Butcher's Market signature steak tips?
The next day?
The next day. Gosh, they hold up, man. Make tacos out of those bad boys.
Ooh.
Hell yes.
Great idea.
That's what I did for lunch yesterday. Absolutely fantastic. Head on over to thebutchersmarkets.com. Again, that's thebutchersmarkets.com. Sandwiches, prepared meals. I had the 4-cheese manicotti last night, or because I'm watching The Sopranos, manicotti. Hey, I'm walking here, putting this manicotti in the oven. Anyway, so head on over to thebutchersmarkets.com.
No idea what that's supposed to be.
I mean, I'm just talking like Tony Soprano. That's all I'm doing. Okay. Jeez. Gabagool.
There you go. Better.
Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. If the folks from The Sopranos send me a cease and desist for butchering their little catchphrases on the show, I'll contact Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counsels at law. Check them out online, wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. And big thanks to Matt Davis over at State Farm. Check him out online at suregarner.com, theoginsurance.com. Or call him directly at 919-779-8277.
Did you know that Matt was also in the financial advising business, financial services business?
No, I did not.
Not only can he help you save money, he can help your money make money. All good things. All good things to have a conversation about as well. Matt Davis, give him a shout.
Scared money don't make no money.
No, it does not.
Let's get out of here on some Hey Joe questions. Big thanks to Crank Arm Brewing. They're bringing you the After Darks. They also bring you Hey Joe, crankarmbrewing.com. Mother's Day is Sunday.
Davis
a reminder.
Street, right there. Great spot.
Mother's Day, Sunday. They're doing a Mother's Day brunch extravaganza. And mom's not into beer. No big deal. They got mimosas and other mixed drinks.
It's also almost concert season down there. They're conveniently located right by the Red Hat Amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself a pop before you head over to a show.
Let's head over to the YouTube comment section where people were. Oh no, this is not the one I wanted. I wanted the other one on YouTube. Where we got here? Let's see. No, that's not it. How the Canes can bounce back. Here we go. Sorry, my bad. From Sir Elfman. For Ovia's curtain, PVC pipe is your friend, either a floor or a tabletop.
Yeah.
For lightning round, we do need that.
Yeah,
we do need that. So we talked to David Willis, representative Union County, NCGA.
And talk about getting the people going.
Dude, there was a lot of Twitter response to that, a lot of response on Instagram on the clip. I was listening to our friend Kyle Bailey on WFNZ yesterday. He brought up the interview and was, confused by some of the things he wanted to do. But the biggest responses were like this from Entertainment 509. I would be down to replace an FCS team in the schedule with a G5 in-state, but I wouldn't want to sacrifice a big out-of-conference Power 5 matchup for it. ACC teams need more eyes on their games. This doesn't help a whole lot with that. I actually think that's a very pragmatic way of looking at it. Totally get that. But I think there's a difference in, what do you expect out of your team? What are your big picture plans? What are you really worried about? Are you worried about the embarrassment of losing to an App State or an ECU or a Charlotte? Or do you really think that this is the thing that's going to keep you out of the college football playoff?
Let's be clear. No one's worried about losing to Charlotte.
Okay. Fair enough.
To be clear.
Fair enough.
Under the old math, I could see why you would not want to play one of those teams. Oh, it doesn't help us. Okay, cool. I think some people get confused about, and also keep the government out of my football scheduling. Okay. The point of what I think he's trying to make here is it's financially beneficial to our state's schools both ways, for the home games in Boone and Greenville and also the home games in Raleigh and Chapel Hill. The downside of the old math was, you could lose to App State, which Carolina has done multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And that now all of a sudden you're not in the playoff. It's
that's not the reason.
There's also automatic bids now. So if all you got to do, just be Clemson. Just win the ACC. I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, Pat Narduzzi.
Yeah. So I think the math has changed now. The only issue I have is I don't think they need to play every year.
No, I don't.
And I think the way that it works out is you would have to play either App State, Charlotte, or ECU every single year. I could see state schedule, between now and 30 is actually set up where they do that.
They essentially do that. Yes.
I mean, they have 1 year where they play both App State and ECU in the same year. 25 actually.
That's a hell of a schedule.
But between 25 and 31, they have four games scheduled. They have 2 games, a home and home scheduled with all 3 of those teams.
Yeah.
Between now and 31. I think that's fine. The every year thing. The thing about getting tested outside of your conference Now, I think TV might have something to say about that.
That's fine.
There also might be more conference games added. I think TV is going to have something to say about that.
See, this
as
is
well.
why. See, I'm glad you brought that up because I am convinced that part of the reason why this legislation is going in is because with the way the conference expansion stuff is working, you're going to end up getting more conference games and less opportunities to play like these kinds of games. And you also have the commissioner of the ACC saying, I don't want to play any more of these group of 5 teams because it's a bad look for the ACC when you end up losing them, right? So I understand where that's coming in, which gets to a complaint. It's funny, David Will says, I haven't had any complaints, but he opened up your...
I think he meant within
those
his
circles,
colleagues.
within those circles.
Or maybe even the schools themselves.
I received some pushback in the sense of, because he's a Republican. So the party of get the government out of my everyday life is now suddenly dictating to these schools who they can play. And it's like, I see your overall point. No, hold on a second.
Yeah, I think it's an economic point.
I see your overall point because there are times where you go, wait a minute, which one is it? But we are talking about in-state institutions
that are funded
by your tax dollars.
Yeah.
And that matters on a local level. So I see where the argument's coming from. That's why I was receptive to the idea.
The games are also interesting. Bottom line, the games generate interest.
Yes.
NC State's about to play one of the worst schedules I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that's even close to it is Carolina's schedule this year.
Yeah.
It's abysmal. Yeah. They both have, and I'm not saying like in a bad, like they're trying to do something nefarious. I'm saying the way that the ACC has been diluted with all of these teams now, you're like, can I just get like State against Virginia? Can I just get like, some of these teams that I'm familiar with? I can't even get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Charlotte being in the same conference now as ECU, that helps. But, I look at it. I think App State should have a goal of, I think App State should have a goal. And if legislation has to help that along, that they have to get Carolina and State on the schedule twice every 5 years, so be it. I'm fine with that. A lot of people like acting like, NC State or Carolina is too big for either App State or ECU. I totally and completely disagree, particularly in the playoff era. If you play a good team, you play a good team. And quite frankly, ECU's not at the level where App State is right now. Not that can't change. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you think about teams who have been really affected by NIL. ECU had 3 starting offensive linemen at Power 5 schools last year.
That's rough.
App State, they're going to be lucky to hold on to their quarterback after this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. It really is. So I, under the old math, I would say to you, yeah, you're right. Like, why would if you had a good team, why do you want to go to Boone and play this quadruple overtime game and put yourself in a situation where you're going to lose? My other point, though, about this state in particular, which I think people get lost on, you know how you and I always talk about the triangle is different in college basketball.
Yes.
God bless Mike. Of course, he loves to tell you that Cincinnati is somehow the center of the college basketball universe. No. App State and
Philadelphia.
App State and ECU are also unique in the sense that no one's clamoring to see Auburn play Troy. No one's clamoring to see Bowling Green play Ohio State, although I think Ohio State does play an in-state MAC team every year. No one's clamoring for that because they don't have the pockets of success that App State and ECU have had. So it's unique to the state. I would love to see South Carolina pick something up and say, hey, Clemson and South Carolina, you need to play Coastal Carolina every year, every other year, right? I think all of these things help generate interest in our games. I think people are delusional sometimes when it comes to what your ultimate goal is. Your ultimate goal, which has always changed, which shouldn't change, is to have the most entertaining possible schedule and season that you can have. Given how allergic both teams are to even winning 10 games and winning ACC championships, what else is there?
To the YouTube comments, and Rangers fans have entered the chat for whatever reason.
They're excited.
As it was pointed out last night in the After Dark.
Yeah, and I was going to say, the one was like, yeah, we have nowhere to talk.
That's that I did not know.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up. I was not aware that. I'm thinking, hey, it's New York, the media capital of the world. It's the Rangers. They got fans everywhere. I'm assuming you have like a bazillion YouTube channels that are talking about the Rangers. Apparently there are some, but apparently they like the way we talk about it. So salute to y'all who are entering the chat because you're looking for at least some level of good coverage when it comes to the playoffs. But I don't know if I'm misremembering last night. I was tired. I was hitting the dark arts for a second. Igor was better because he won. There's this debate about who was better in net last night. Here's All Out Metal 735. Igor walked on water last night, and you say Freddie was better. Do us all a favor. Stay off the road. You can't be trusted with anything right now. Igor was the difference. Difference number 2 was piss poor special teams play. Difference number 3 is a very sloppy work in our end. Okay, you're cope harder with your completely unnecessary dig at Igor Shesterkin having not given up 4 goals in a playoff game stat. Blah, 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 blah.
That's like a dumb stat.
Yeah, gentlemen, I think both fans can agree Igor was better the goaltender last night. No disrespect to Freddie, who played as well.
Who said?
That's the thing. I don't know who said that last night.
I said I was questioning the legitimacy of the 3-goal stat because, well, if you were that good, you'd have a cup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know he has been good, but again, they lost in the first round to the Devils last year. So what that you gave up 3 goals or less?
But anyway.
Maybe 2 or less, and you'd have something. But
I think that we'll close on this. Let's be clear. Most Ranger fans will find their opponent's fan channel to see their take on the game and then why they think their team lost the game. Most likely trolling. According to you, only rational Rangers fans who come into the chat are the ones who give the Canes credit for the game. Not once watching this video was there any credit to the Rangers for winning and shutting down Carolina's power play, stealing game 2. Instead, there was every excuse that I heard the Canes were better and they should have won this game. And Rangers fans are used to being the underdogs in a series, no matter if they're the better team or not. Look, I gave credit to the Rangers last night. I gave credit to the Rangers today. They are better where it matters in a game of inches. A game of inches, Joe. Better on the power play. And honestly, better on the kill.
This is bothering me now. Is it Lamar Barrett? Was that the state player?
Hold on a second. Now you got me looking.
I know.
Now you got me.
I know.
Because he played both.
Was it Daryl Davis?
No, NC State wide receiver.
John Dunlap. Donald Bowens.
Runs into goalpost.
Jarvis Williams.
Let's see. Man, I don't even know where it's going. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's going to bother me.
Lamar Barrett. I feel like for some reason
was that
sticking
the case?
Out.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go look. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more deep dive onto that to figure out who it was. But I remember seeing it in person while I was annoying you doing a stringer report for ESPN Radio. That's gonna wrap it up. We'll see you all tomorrow. Well, wait a minute.
What?
I'm not done yet because I'm a dumbass. We still have to pay some bills.
Okay.
So, big thanks to Sporkle. Jason did a hell of a job with trivia.
Yes. It's enjoyable. It was a nice night.
It was a lot of fun.
It was all like online on your phone. So it was
Yeah.
not like, oh, here's some pen and pad and some super secret handshake. And,
apologies.
and it pops up on the screen. They have such a great screen over there at Shady's, the quad box.
The quad box. But yeah, apologies to Jason. Sorry, I'm tired. Last night, these Canes games got me going. I almost forgot about you. But yes, big thanks to Jason Sporkle Trivia. They've got locations across the triangle at various places, over 15 years of experience. And these are really, really interesting questions. It makes it super easy to get online and participate. And Jason does the Shady's music quiz on Thursday nights. There's 2 rounds at 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. He's also Sundays at Driftwood Cantina. It's just a straight up pub quiz in Raleigh. So you can check him out at Driftwood Cantina at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock on Sundays. But you can check out a bunch of different places, including like Buffalo Brothers and Cary on Tuesday nights, House of Hops, location in Raleigh, the location in Pittsboro off of Bale Street and in Pittsboro, all that fun stuff. So big thanks to Sporkle for hanging out with us on the OG birthday bash. Go support them by taking part in their trivia. And of course, big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Hit them up online, bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save. You can do the mosquito treatments as you go if you want. I recommend you get the bundle and save money because you're going to be needing it throughout the entire summer. And they can also come up with some other ways to keep the critters away, including a misting system. So talk to them about that. Head on over to bugsbite.com. Again, that's bugsbite.com. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. I'm going to go nap. We'll see you for an OG live 2 o'clock YouTube on Thursday.